Hello, my Bill for Thousand Nation. How's everyone doing today? Hopefully, everyone's having a great day. If not, I hope it gets better from here. All right, we are back with another Coffeehouse Crime. This one is titled "The Latex Devil Next Door: The Case of Luke Fawcett." I hope everyone's got their cup of coffee. Hmm, I got mine. Oh yeah. All right, let's go ahead and get into this story. Go ahead, turn them lights down low, put on something comfy, cuddle up with someone special. Let's get traumatized. Get sad for all the wrong reasons and all that good shit. It's coffee house crime. That's how it goes, man. Like,
On Easter weekend of 2020, the sudden silence of an elderly woman concerned family. And when a nearby relative travelled over to check in on her, her disappearance would extend to 2. With no explanation and a great deal of worry, the family grouped together to figure out what was going on. And what they discovered would forever haunt their lives. Welcome back to Coffeehouse Crime. My name is Adrian, and today we're looking at the case of Luke Fawcett. Charismatic, young, and a psychologist, Luke was a man who most people would trust from the outset. But behind his mask lay a cold-hearted, delusional killer. Just to let you know, I post solved, unsolved, and strange cases up to twice a week here, so if that sounds like your kind of thing.
see, now that's something that always terrifies me about, like, oh, you need to go see, like, talk to a therapist or something like that. What if the motherfucker's like a deranged serial killer and no one freaking knows it? I mean, it's a therapist. I'm sure they're going to be able to get away with it. Or psychologists, I'm sure they're going to be able to get away from it. I ain't dealing with that shit. I ain't gonna go with someone who hypnotizes me into jumping off a building or some shit, like some. No, no. That's a scary movie waiting to happen. I ain't dealing with it. I ain't doing it. You laugh, but it's a legitimate fear. Let me think about it. They're psychologists. They're going to be able to lie straight to your face. You're never going to know. They're going to know all the telltale signs of like how to get into your head. They're no.
Please consider subscribing to Coffeehouse Crime. So let's get into the thick of it.
Yeah, to that,
Pull up a
but
seat, grab a coffee, and sit back. This is the case of Luke Fawcett.
It seems like I just tried. I pick out stories because I think they sound cool from the title, and I end up picking out something that's gonna freaking traumatize me worse than I already am with shit.
Unbeatable weather, jaw-dropping beaches, and a fantastic work-life culture. Of course, I'm talking about Australia. Although on a slight decline in
We have a bunch of subscribers from Australia. This takes place in Australia? Oh shit.
recent years, Australia is still very high on the list when it comes to the world's most favourable countries to immigrate to. And there's good reason for it. With its assortment of modernised cities, all positioned in a warm and rewarding climate, an excellent healthcare system, and a vibrant outdoor lifestyle, Australia has most of what people are looking for.
It is beautiful. You can see the bottom of the sea. There's a frog on the log in the bottom of the sea.
One of the downsides, or possible upsides, is the country's remoteness to the rest of the world. In fact, should you live in Western Australia's capital of Perth, you would have to travel 1,300 miles to reach its neighbouring city, Adelaide. But that doesn't stop over 1.4 million residents calling Perth home. And one of those living in
That's beautiful. Holy shit balls, Batman. They even got like a trail for bicycling. Whoa.
the City of Light was Marie Collins. In the year of 2020, Marie was at the very beginning of her golden years. And aged 66, she was on the venerable side of adulthood, looking forward to slowing down into a more peaceful lifestyle. She came from a family of 6 siblings, and next to her brother Wayne Johnson, they were the youngest
She's getting ready to go golfing, skinny dipping. She's about ready to start living her best life right there. I mean, shit.
of the bunch. Marie was a committed Christian who was an active member of a local church community and participated in many church activities. And being the sort of person she is, she always helped anyone in need. She also had a knack for fashion and home life, and worked part-time in a clothing shop nearby. We all grow into adulthood with varying levels of wanderlust. Some of us wish to explore every...
Look at that. That's beautiful. Weird thing is, this here kind of looks like a few places in Ireland. Like, no lie. Same rock formations and stuff. It's crazy. Beautiful though.
avenue of the world, where some simply wish to settle. And for Marie, it was very much the latter. By the time she was in her mid-20s, Marie had saved up enough money to afford an apartment in Washington Gardens, located on Leonard Street, southeast of Perth city centre. This wouldn't only be her first home, but her forever home too, as 4 decades later, she still lived here. And I can see why. A top-floor apartment not only near the city, but overlooking it too. 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and impeccable views. She had played the property market well.
Damn, she dominated the property market. That mofo living large, son. Holy shit.
Marie experienced many moments
My house ain't even that nice.
in these 4 walls. Birthdays, parties, dates, marriage, and sadly, even death. Her husband dying young in the year 2001. And without any children, she remained a one-woman household. Many things changed over the course of Marie's adulthood, but the one thing that did not was her home. And that's probably why she looked after it so carefully. Friends always pointed out how warm, cosy, and welcoming the place was, and in the year 2020, Marie was having more renovations done too. With no husband or children in the picture, she formed a rich social life with family and friends. And of course, with such a homely apartment, she loved to host too. Considering her fine age, she was also pretty good with mobile phones and computers, and she'd message her friends pretty much every day. Which is why, on the day before Easter Sunday, it was rather unusual when she suddenly fell silent. Saturday the 11th of April.
Damn. I knew it sounded too damn good to be true. Why? 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 They all do it. It's not just him. They all do it. They make it sound so sweet and fairy tale like, and then it's like, oh, everything was until it wasn't. It came from the pits of hell.
April 2020 started like any other weekend for Marie. Waking up in the early morning, she woke with coffee, before slipping on her shoes and heading over to Swanburn Beach. And shortly after that, she stopped by her sister Helen's home in Mount Claremont, found just west of Perth Centre. Marie returned home shortly after 1 PM. But after making her way through the front door, she realised that she'd forgotten to give Helen a spare key to the main gates of her apartment complex. They too had recently completed renovations, and in the process had changed the locks. Calling the landline, Marie told her sister that she'd give her a key the next time they met. But after that phone call, silence. Only the next morning did family begin to worry. Helen had put ham in the oven, and at around 10 AM she asked Marie if she was available for lunch. But no response. She texted again 20 minutes later. Still no reply. At 11:30, Helen tried to call her sister, but again, there was no answer. Not that she had much time to think after that, as only 2 minutes later, she received a message from her sister. Hi Helen, apologies for not taking your call. I am feeling quite unwell. God bless, and happy Easter. Helen replied with, Can I call you? We've been worried. In which Marie replied with, I have lost my voice, unfortunately. As I said, I am quite unwell. Thank you so much for your thoughts. Marie's initial silence was peculiar enough, but what really concerned Helen was the manner in which she was speaking. This didn't sound like Marie at all. Worried for her sister's safety, she decided to call her brother, Wayne. Both he and his 12-year-old son lived only a few streets away from Marie's apartment, so maybe he could check in on her to make sure she's okay. And after texting Marie and not getting anything back, he also became concerned. He sent Helen a message saying, Just texted Marie, no answer. I'm leaving HJ here and going up now. And then suddenly, nothing. As soon as he reached her apartment, Wayne too was radio silent. Despite her best efforts in contacting Marie and now Wayne, neither of them accepted.
What the fuck? Uh, okay. So the story thus far. Ladies, this lady had no kids. Husband died 2001. I'm not for sure how old, but he said, early. Ugh. But she was still living her best life. Very in touch with her family. Goes radio silent. Family starts to get worried. Then out of nowhere, she starts texting. Mysteriously lost her voice. And they're like, nah, that's shady as shit. And then the brother goes over. Like, how old was it? Thank God he didn't. Now he's radio silent. And I'm just sitting here like, oh, thank God he didn't take his son. Like, I don't know how old the son is, but I have a feeling both these fools are dead. The lady and the brother. I think they're both dead now. And it could have been three of them dead if he would have took his son. Oh my God, what kind of piece of trash does this on Easter, bro?
Her phone calls, or replied to her text messages. It was as if her top-floor apartment on Leonard Street had suddenly become a void, with all forms of communication in and out now impossible. As the hours ticked by, Helen's concerns manifested into puzzlement and fear. Marie's silence was one hurdle to get the mind around, but Wayne knew Helen was worried. It made no sense for him to suddenly ignore her like this. Making several phone calls throughout the space of 3 hours, she was finally at the end of her wits. Helen may need help getting through the front gate, but she already had a spare key to her sister's apartment. And so, arming herself with her son-in-law, she drove over to Leonard Street.
We done sent one fool in. We ain't doing that again. We're going 2x2 now, bro. Let's go in there. You take the left side, I'll take the right side. We'll figure something the fuck out. Oh God. I'm just really glad the one dude didn't take the kid, because I mean, evidently she was murdered. More likely he was murdered. So that means the murderer was probably still there. Him and the kid could have both been murdered. Like I said, I don't know how old his son was. So
Meeting Marie's neighbour at the gate, the trio realised that both Helen's and Wayne's cars were on the property. This wasn't good news. They made their way to the 8th floor, all curious to see what was happening behind number 35. Approaching the front door, silence hung heavy in the air, and not one single sound could be heard from the apartment. Marie had lived here for over 40 years, so why did the place suddenly feel so unwelcoming? The familiar sound of metal pushed into the lock. She turned the key before hearing a gentle click from the door. And slowly, Helen pushed it open. But before she could even set one foot into her sister's apartment, her son-in-law and neighbour pulled her back. Peering in from the doorway, they could see a large tarpaulin sheet wrapped in yellow rope, and behind it was the body of Wayne Johnson. They closed the door, ran downstairs, and called the police. The sudden discovery was shocking, sickening, and simply hard to take in. Although their silence now made sense, nothing else did. Unfortunately, it was obvious that these two were murdered. But who in their right mind would do such a thing? Both Marie and Wayne were well loved in their communities.
no one in their right mind is going to take someone else's life for no reason whatsoever. Like, it's one thing, like, if your family is being attacked or someone's coming after, like, one of your kids, or there's always instances where I think it's going to be okay for a situation like that. But just to just kill someone just for the shits and giggles, there is never a moment where that's okay. Like, I understand, even in most fights and things like that, killing someone else still isn't always the answer. Sometimes you don't have a choice. Sometimes the person that you have got to take out leaves you no other choice, and I understand that. But just to freaking kill someone, just to do it just because, oh, it's just a Sunday, I feel like murdering a couple people. Happy Easter to you, and fuck that.
Police were very quick to arrive to the scene, and after walking into the apartment, they were able to confirm that both Marie and Wayne had been subjected to a very violent situation. It's clear that a struggle had ensued throughout the property. Furniture was broken, items scattered across the floor. Lemonade bottles and beer cans were discarded in multiple rooms, and blood was found throughout the apartment. Among the carnage was a used taser, a bread knife, a large hunting knife, and a letter opener. Marie had suffered 24 stab wounds, and Wayne had suffered 25, along with an additional 10 other sharp force injuries, and whoever was responsible for this was no longer in the area.
Man, that doesn't sound like just a murder of happenstance, or that sounds like someone angry about something. I mean, they might not have been angry at these poor people that they murdered, but they had some hate in them, like some pure fucking rage. Like, I don't know if I'm not a murderer by any means. I really don't know, but if I had to kill someone, I would make it quick and fast. That sounds like they wanted them to suffer, wanted it to be painful. They had just a bunch of rage and aggression and hate. I mean, anyone that would do all that to one, well, to both of them, they ain't right in the fucking head.
Detectives were quick to begin their investigations, but where do you begin with a crime scene like this? There were no signs of forced entry, and being the penthouse to an 8th-floor apartment, it's rather unlikely that the killer entered through the windows. So there were two
Bro, it's possible. I've seen some crazy shit happen. I've seen people get in places you didn't think was even fucking possible.
options. Either the killer had a spare key, or Marie trusted them enough to allow them into the property. And with newly fitted locks, the former didn't seem likely. Investigating the background and whereabouts of Marie's family and friends were going to take some time, but at least for now, detectives could make progress with those in close proximity. But amongst the shocked neighbours and fruitless findings, they managed to find one rather alarming clue. While recording all license plates in the building's car park, officers took the opportunity to peer through the windows on the off chance it provided any valuable information. And on the dashboard of one of these vehicles was a receipt from a local Bunnings hardware store. Transacted at 6:43 PM on Saturday the 11th of April, these items had been purchased only one night prior from a Bunnings warehouse in Belmont. And the items: blue tarpaulin and yellow rope. Police were quick to run the car's plates through West Australia's licence database, and soon after they found that the car belonged to a resident living here in Washington Gardens. As a matter of fact, he was Marie's next door neighbour. The name was Luke Fawcett, and 27 years old at the time, he was renting a one-bedroom flat across the hall from Marie. A quick dig through his police records didn't highlight anything significant. A few driving offences, and 2 minor convictions of possession of prohibited drugs, but he had no violent history, and arguably, he was just a young, reckless kid. With divorced parents, his mum entirely out of the picture, and barely any friends while growing up, he didn't have the best childhood. But he made it work. From the outside, Luke was a successful and welcoming individual. Finishing high school at the top of his class, he moved on to study psychology at the University of Western Australia. He worked part-time at a nightclub to get him through his degree. And after graduating, he moved on to become a disability support worker, before becoming a psychologist in the mental health field. Moving in with his girlfriend in 2006.
Told you, you can't trust those people. Anybody that sits down and listens to someone else's bullshit, like so many other people's bullshit every day, and you... No, I'm sorry. I've sat down and listened to people's shit. It can drive you crazy. It can. I mean, and you know, you're just a normal person. They hear so many people's like really, really fucked up problems. You know that it's gotta get to you eventually. I mean, I understand psychiatrists and psychologists and all that good shit. They're trained to be able to differentiate and all this other shit, but you know eventually that's gotta wear on you. Like, I love helping people. I love listening to people's problems. But I don't deal with a bunch of people who are just out there on a daily basis. You know what I mean? I love talking, like, to those of you who talk to me about stuff. I love talking to y'all. I do. But to sit down face to face with these people, some on a daily basis, through out the whole day, like 8 hours a day, just straight listening to probably some really crazy shit. That's eventually got wear on you. I'm sorry. I don't trust them.
Luke had been Marie's neighbour for the last 4 years. Luke and Marie had a normal, neighbourly relationship. Not necessarily friends, but always there for each other. And he'd been to her apartment several times before, helping her move furniture, reconnect her printer, and change her Facebook password. At this point in his life, and excluding a few minor offences, Luke was a respectable young man who had climbed the ranks to become a psychologist. And with a degree so attuned to mental health, he was one that many people looked towards with trust and respect. But as the year 2020 began, several bad things happened, and I'm not talking about coronavirus. To begin with, Luke was diagnosed with both anxiety and depression. He started regularly experiencing panic attacks.
Just from listening to all the crazy. I told you, you can't trust psychologists. Eventually, look, I went to one whenever I was little. And literally, dude hung himself, like no lie. He did. And I walked in for my appointment and I want to say I was like maybe 9 or 10. But I was sent to them because of my ADD, ADHD, and I have dyslexia. I don't know why, talking to a psychologist is going to help anything, but, I had to. That was one of the things that school made my mom and dad do. And I believe I was going on 10. I was closer to 10 than I was 9. Walk in, and dude is hanging in his office. Me and mom, because mom was allowed to take me to this one room, and then from that room, you walked in through another door, and that's where he was at. Sitting at a desk, there was a chair, there was like a long leathery couch looking thing, and there were some beanbag chairs and stuff. Whatever you felt comfortable sitting in, like you said, wherever you want to sit. Really nice fella, really was sweet as pie, like he really was. And I walk in there, and that's what I did. I was like, Bubba, going in. Then my mom got up and looked in there. She's like, oh, covered my eyes. I'm like, oh, I don't fucking see no, mom. Like, you doing this now is not helping shit. Don't cuss, Bubby. That's what the hell you want to do. I don't give a damn right now. What are you gonna do? But I guess he had a lot of stuff going on in his private life. Like, there was things going on with his family and stuff like that, and it just got to be too much. And see, as a patient, like me walking in to his office for my appointment and seeing that scarred me for life. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I don't trust psychologists in any way, shape, or form now. Psychologists, psychiatrists, anything that deals with mental health, I do not trust. No more. And I will probably never trust ever again. Because that made me feel like he did that because of me. And I mean, I know for a fact that it wasn't, but I had felt as a child, like, why was it before he seen me? You know what I mean? And that really fucked me up for life. So now I just don't trust none of it.
And he found no motivation in his work. And next, but he actually quit his job, which under normal circumstances would be fair enough, but the reasoning behind this was slimy. Luke had falsely accused one of his colleagues with sexual misconduct, and when these allegations were proven to be lies, the board took this very seriously. His provisional registration as a psychologist was therefore revoked. Things didn't get better after that. By March, his girlfriend had left him, leaving Luke absolutely devastated. He started to drink alcohol and smoke weed daily. With a failed job, tarnished reputation, failed relationship, and crumbling mental health, shit really had hit the fan for Luke Fawcett. With no money or partner to lean on, he
And see, that's what I'm saying right there. His personal life is going to shit. He is in no way, shape, or form able to take care of anyone. And you never know what's going on behind those eyes, bro. Like, I don't trust that
He was
shit.
also facing eviction from his apartment, and
I'm not saying it doesn't help a lot of people. It helps thousands upon thousands of people every day. But for me, nope.
after this, he began a worryingly dangerous cocktail of excessive alcohol, cannabis, and antidepressants. As officers began to look into Luke and the newly found receipt, they learned that on this very day he'd checked himself into a local hospital. And these injuries were for multiple lacerations and a dislocated shoulder. Surveillance footage showed him arriving shortly after 3 PM, so officers decided to pay him a little visit. He explained that his injuries were from falling down the stairs while holding a steak knife. Nevertheless, he agreed to provide officers with the
Let's take that
DNA
back and read it.
after 3 PM, so officers decided to pay him a little visit. He explained
Oh my god, what's happened to you? Fell down some stairs while holding a steak knife. Dislocated shoulder and 4 deep lacerations. Oh my god, what the heck? You're lucky you're not dead. Fell down some stairs while holding a steak knife? Bro. Why was you in the stairway holding a fucking steak knife? Come up with some better bullshit than that, buddy.
that his injuries were from falling down the stairs while holding a steak knife. Nevertheless, he agreed to provide officers with the DNA sample. Detectives were already hard at work with the receipt, and it didn't take them long to find what they were looking for. At 6:43 PM on Saturday the 11th of April, the evening of Marie's disappearance, a surveillance camera at the local Bunnings warehouse captured Luke Fawcett nonchalantly walking into the store before buying, you guessed it, yellow rope and blue tarpaulin. He cautiously walked out afterward. A neighbour had also come forward to highlight that earlier that day, she'd noticed a stranger acting suspicious outside of her apartment. He was pacing up and down, crying. Feeling skeptical, the neighbour took a picture, and this stranger was Luke. And regretfully, after DNA samples were collected at the crime scene and compared, those retrieved samples were found to match the DNA of Luke Fawcett.
So did he have a mental breakdown, killer, and then went and bought the rope and the tarp basically to wrap her up in? And then old dude came there and he had to do away with him too? I mean, is that what happened? Or did he plan this shit out? Timeline's kind of fucking with me a little bit.
His blood was found all over the apartment, mixed in with the blood of Marie and Wayne. Unfortunate to Luke, but this new evidence was a no-brainer to officers. By the time this evidence surfaced, Luke had way too many connections to the crime scene, and on the 13th of April 2020, he was officially arrested for the murder of Marie Collins and Wayne Johnson. With the man now in custody, officers had legal authority to enter his home and his car, and what they found inside was both overwhelming and disturbing. It turns out that Luke had been planning Marie's murder for quite some time. In the month prior, he'd bought himself 2 tasers and a pair of handcuffs.
Why? Sounds like this lady has been nothing but nice to this little piece of shit. And I get he's going through some shit. Get the fuck over yourself, bud. For at least a few months, you have been planning this poor sweet old lady's death. Don't you think she's fucking lost enough? You fucking trash.
And although this next piece of evidence isn't available to the public, I wish it was. But on March the 29th, he recorded himself threatening the camera with a taser and knife while wearing a tight-fitting latex suit. These threats were to severely hurt or kill this person if they didn't provide their bank details. In this video he said, "We can do this the easy way or the hard way. If it's the hard way, you will be severely hurt, and if you keep pushing me, eventually I will kill you." Police would also find notes in Luke's car. One detailing a checklist which included quiet shoes, a baseball bat, and cable ties. The second list was named interrogation, and included pepper spray to the eyes and potential locations. Luke claimed that the video was part of a home invasion roleplay for a couple online, and the to-do lists were for a video game. Sure. Records show that on the 4th of April he purchased a shovel, and data forensics indicate that he travelled 200 miles to East Kirrup the very next day. where he then dug a shallow grave in preparation. They also found a shovel and a duffel bag nearby. On April the 6th, Luke was spotted in Bunnings' warehouse purchasing tarpaulin, tape, and rope, and 5 days later, it was time. In the afternoon of Saturday the 11th of April, Luke Fawcett entered Marie's flat through trusted means, and once inside, he tased her before stabbing her over 20 times. Once she was dead, he used her apartment as if it were his own. He showered, drank smoothies and beer, and sent flirty messages to a woman he'd started talking to, boasting that he'd just purchased a penthouse apartment. While attempting to cover up the body, Luke realized boasting that he just purchased.
Sounds good. Tell me about this new place. When did you buy it? Great. A few weeks ago. What would you like to know about it, gorgeous? Such an exciting time. Whereabouts is it? How did you know it was the one? I think you'll know it's the one when you see it. 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Whereabout is it?
Just a penthouse apartment.
Vic Park?
While attempting to cover up the body, Luke realized he needed more rope and tarp. He returned to Bunnings late that evening, resulting in the receipt found by officers. Drinking more beer and smoothies, he then spent the night trying to access her bank accounts. In the early morning, he recorded Perth's skyline from her bedroom window. And when Helen messaged Marie's mobile phone, he sent her emails through Marie's computer. Luke was rather surprised to see Wayne come through the front door. A vicious fight ensued, and although he was able to fracture Luke's collarbone, dislocate his shoulder and stab him 4 times, the attack tragically ended in Wayne's death, leaving the apartment in even more disarray. By 2:30 p.m, Luke had called his grandmother to ask for a lift to the hospital, and while waiting for her to arrive, a suspicious neighbour captured this photo. While being treated, he continued to flirt with his new crush. He sent her text messages, calling himself the sexiest patient ever, and sending cringy shit like, "I wish you were here to kiss my boo-boo better." With the overwhelming amount of digital and forensic evidence, Luke would have been wise to plead guilty. Alas, he claimed he was innocent. According to him, he walked into Marie's apartment to find her dead on the floor, and when Wayne arrived, he thought that Luke had killed his sister. Luke did admit to killing Wayne, but only in self-defense after he attacked him. Needless to say, no one was impressed with this story.
Man, I'm glad I wear fucking boots. Cause this shit's getting deep, bruh. Like, come on now, homie. This sweet old lady's gonna attack you. And then you're going to kill her. And then her brothers is gonna come out of nowhere and attack you too. Man, you are a horrible fucking liar, for one. For two, I hope someone beats you down. Like, I hope that they take your sheet while you're in bed, hold you to the bunk, and just stomp the fuck out of your face. Sorry.
And in September of 2021, Luke was officially found guilty for the murder of Marie Collins and guilty for the murder of Wayne Johnson. As a result, he was imposed 2 life sentences, with a minimum of 34 years before he's eligible for parole.
I hope for his sake he don't get parole. Because they're shit. If that happened to my family, I'd be sitting outside that jail waiting for him to get out to shoot him in his fucking face.
Prosecutor Justin Whaley expressed that Luke showed callous indifference of the highest order, and a level of depravity that defies adequate description. In a statement, Helen, who had lost her sister and brother in the process, said, "The empty seats at our table will always be constant reminders of the absence at family gatherings, as a son has lost his dad, and I, with our siblings, have lost our youngest sister and brother." Luke Fawcett will be 61 years old before he is even considered for release. A very messed up and senseless story. I think this case hits harder knowing Luke was a psychologist. For someone you trust your own mental health with, he certainly didn't have his own. The motive for why he killed Marie is still to this day not known either. He still denies their murders and pleads his innocence. The best we can guess is he had some form of sick fantasy that he wanted to play out, and never really thought of the consequences that would follow afterward. I do really hope that Marie and Wayne's family will find their strength and recover over time. Thank you so much for watching another.
Fuck that. Fuck him. I hope he doesn't live to be 60 something. I hope he gets the shit beat out of him and nope. I'm telling you, see, this People think I'm crazy for not trusting shit like that. I don't. I never have. I never will. Like I said, what happened to me whenever I was younger, witnessing all that, that just proves like they are just regular normal people giving you advice. Like, and yes, I know, I understand 100%. Talking to someone, hearing someone else's opinions and everything else really does help other people. I can't trust it. I can't. So I hope the day he gets out, someone's with him, waiting for him with a machete to stab through his fucking forehead. This poor lady, like, getting ready to start living her best fucking life. Already lost her husband, never had kids, and this piece of trash is gonna come in there and just take her life because he was having a hard time. Oh no. Well, man, fuck you, bud. We have hard times all the time. Alright. If y'all enjoyed today's video as much as I enjoyed today's video, please leave a thumbs up. If you're a fan of the spooky, scary, strange, deranged things that just make you second guess like everything that you have ever heard from anyone because, you're like, hey man, you got some advice for me? And they're like, yeah. And then now you're sitting back saying, damn, should I took that advice? Think about subscribing. You'll second guess every decision you've ever made in life. I guarantee it. As always, be good to one another. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye. Man, no, no. And just think, if he would have, if the brother would have took his kid, there would. I don't know how old the kid was, but I mean, if the kid was young enough to where he would probably have been dead too. He'd been fucking murdered right along with him. That's that's too fucking much.